So we were gonna say, who wants to do it? Because I hate doing it. Ben does it, but doesn't want to do it for some reason. I don't understand why. So we were gonna ask
I
one of you guys.
always do like the comedy version because I have, it's like the obvious one where it's kind of like, hey guys, welcome back to What's a Woolpert? Today we're here with the Woolpert Interns.
Hi everyone, welcome back to What's a Woolpert, where today we're talking with interns and co-ops about their history and experience at Woolpert. Hi, my name is Claire. I'm a rising senior at Virginia Tech studying public relations. I am a marketing intern at Woolpert. I'm in the Columbus office.
I'm Haley Bloom. I am my first year of grad school from Georgia Tech. I'm going for my master's in machine learning, and at Woolpert I kind of just do everything as a TBP. But I used to be AI, now I'm kind of everything. I'm in the Dayton office.
Hi guys, my name is Christopher Garcia. I am a UWM grad, the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and I am a architect. Currently, I'm a designer one in SNHA, the architecture department, and I am part of the PPD team. Yeah, ex-intern.
Hey everyone, I'm Ethan Graham. I'm a fourth year civil engineering student at the University of Cincinnati, based in the Cincinnati office. I'm in the transportation side of things in our traffic group.
I'm curious. How did you all find the internship? Did we find you, or did you guys find us?
I found Woolpert at the career fair.
Okay.
And just had a great conversation, and then got a phone call with my current boss now, and went.
Who's
great.
that?
Sam Bobko.
Okay.
He's up in Cleveland.
I found Woolpert on LinkedIn. I was just looking for marketing internships in Columbus, and I found Woolpert's website, and I really liked it because they emphasize that they don't expect you to be pros. It's more of like a teaching role. So I really liked that, and I applied and then talked to my boss, Holly, and it was great.
For each of you, are any of you in the office with any regularity, or are you all remote?
I go in on Wednesdays, but not today because my boss is out of town.
Typically Tuesday, Thursday, I'll go in the office just because I'm part-time right now and have class Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I come into the office 5 times a week, so basically every day.
So how about daily tasks? Like when you're in the office or not, just working either way. What's your routine for work? Like what do you got, like in the field, in the office, writing, designing? Like what's your daily?
So it honestly depends. It's mainly based on what is needed to go out. If we have more design-oriented work, I'll be working on that for most of the day. If we have any diagrammatics or any packages that will be needed for presentations with clients or consultants, I'll be working on those, getting them ready for the project managers or the project coordinators or architects to have that information to be able to then coordinate. And so for the most part, I'm just keeping busy, making sure that everything that is needed for communication between consultants and architects to be as smooth as possible.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted answers from everyone. But my weeks typically change pretty frequently. It just depends what tasks I'm assigned on our weekly Monday meetings. But I'll just plan those out throughout the week. They could be anything from changing numbers in an Excel sheet, doing a report, all the way to designing a traffic signal.
I'm also kind of similar. It kind of changes almost on the daily. Lately it's been mostly working on databases stuff for software, keeping track of all the software, and it's a lot of research and looking into potential softwares and things like that.
Okay. Claire?
Mine's obviously I'm a marketing intern, so it's a lot more communication based, but a lot of mine is finding contact information, reaching out to people, planning client events. We've been planning a lot of client dinners for some of the conferences coming up. And yeah, mostly just whatever any of the marketing managers tell me to do. We also do award submittals. We'll find awards for the engineers to submit their projects to and kind of help them with that. So yeah, it's a lot of just kind of like reaching out and like publicizing Woolpert to potential clients.
Okay, so it sounds like we got a decent cross section between like kind of the architecture, engineering, AI, IT, database stuff, and then marketing. So that's a pretty wide variety. Have you all learned some skills or not so far in your internships?
I've definitely learned a handful of new softwares and just tips and tricks within those softwares to get more efficient, especially in like Microsoft Suite stuff. I spend a lot of time in Excel and Word,
Okay.
and also Outlook, and just like scheduling meetings and stuff like that. It
Yeah,
was it was a learning curve too.
that's cool. Who else?
A lot of what I've learned, at least in the last couple of months, is like how to talk to people, specifically people who like managers and things like that, with like confidence. I was not very confident when I started. And I've learned a lot of like Power BI and Microsoft based things in databases, obviously. So,
Kind of the same as Haley, actually. I've learned how to ask people for tasks because my boss said on the first day, like, you might get kind of bored. You have to be comfortable reaching out to people, and because, like, no one here is going to judge you. So I've definitely gotten better at that and Microsoft Suite as well. And I've learned actually like a decent bit about the engineering and technical side of things because I've proofread and written a couple papers about high intensity LiDAR mapping data, which I had no idea what it was before I started. But it's really cool to actually get to learn about kind of what that is. So I'm broadening my horizons a lot.
Okay, well that's good. That's one thing that's always been good about Woolpert, and I think is relatively well represented here with only four people, not even counting myself and Ben. You know, it's a wide spectrum of stuff. I mean, Chris, are you learning Microsoft too, or is it other stuff?
I've used Microsoft products as well as variety Adobe products, BIM modeling products, a variety. I've basically used over 10 softwares at this point. But in terms of knowledge and experience, I've gained a ton and fairly applicable to school while I was in the summer, while I was interning at SNHA. I was learning a lot more about construction detailing and fabricating those documents. And it turned out it was extremely applicable to my education at that point because in the fall I had a course which dedicated entirely to construction detailing. And so it seemed like it prepared me in a sense for those courses. And then later on, and towards winter break, I ended up taking or continuing my internship and from there, I learned more about diagramming and representation, which again became super applicable to a course I was taking the following semester. And it just overall, I learned a ton from my internship.
Cool. How about so we talked about skills learned or whatever, but like, what is there anything that surprised you or kind of making it a little more awkward? Like, did you ever have like a weird experience or the weirdest day as an intern, like something you didn't anticipate that you'd have to deal with or dealt with? I mean, in a good way or a bad way, I suppose. But
My first semester starting at Woolpert, I uh, I got to the office one morning and the power had gone out and the door was like a key fob and like just couldn't get in. No one else was there. I was like, what do I do? Like
so what'd
I
you
mean,
do?
it was like my third week.
Did you just
I,
leave?
no, I called my boss and then I like let him know what was going on and then he was like, oh yeah, I just got an email from um, the office in Cleveland. It's like a shared space workspace in Cleveland. I don't know if you guys knew that, but he got an email saying like it would take a little while to get that hooked up. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna. There's a cafe across the street, so I just worked there for a little bit until we could get in the building. I was like,
Yep.
was not expecting this this morning.
We're not immune to power outages, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
minus the server room, maybe. But how about anybody else? Something weird that happened to them or something they didn't expect to take on in their daily tasks?
I we were planning this dinner in Kansas City after the Four Airports conference, some conference, and I had to make a dinner reservation for August 21st. But there was a Zach Bryan concert in Kansas City that day, so I called basically like 100 restaurants, and I just learned how to be like stern on the phone. Not stern on the phone, but like getting my point across because my bosses were like, you got to get a reservation. So that was kind of stressful, but I ended up handling it and getting it. But that was probably like the weirdest thing I've had to do so far.
Where'd you get in at?
this place called Tannin Wine Bar in Kansas
All right.
City.
Okay, so it wasn't like a Chili's or something.
Yeah, no, it ended up being a really nice place, but I just got lucky. I had to be persistent, like, 'cause I was just calling for cancellations basically, and
Mhm.
this one place had a cancellation at 7, and so I was like, okay, we're booking it. So I guess just like learning how to be persistent.
No, it's pretty normal. That's fair. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, smooth sailing.
There was this in August last year. Lollapalooza happened here in Chicago, and so I was in the office and I had to stay a little bit longer just to complete an assignment. And next thing you know, around like 4 o'clock, is just you hear the bass blasting and music just playing super loud. So I'm over here trying to focus, get things done early, and just with all that sound in the background, made it a little bit difficult, but managed to get it done.
Yeah, not good for a deadline. Definitely not helping. I mean, Ben, do you want to ask some of the cultural stuff, or do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I guess along those lines, what did you expect? What did you expect for your internship versus maybe how it was, and then how did the transition go into full time?
So my expectations early on were very open-minded. I came in kind of just wanting to learn as much as I could. I wasn't turning down anything. Just want to get experience overall. And so I came in with that expectation, and it pretty much matched it. I learned a ton. Everyone was extremely informative and kind of very helpful in trying to help you learn. Everyone is extremely open-minded in terms of where you kind of want to end up, and so they'll try and give you a task that's more oriented to that.
Cool. What else? What other expectations?
I totally agree with Chris there. I came in the same way, not really knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I had some professional experience at another company, and from there, I just wanted to try something new. So I came to Woolpert and kind of talked to my boss about don't really know what I want to do. So, and I know they have a lot of stuff that I could do. Um, so they definitely met that standard, and then also just like was so surprised when I got here and the amount of trust that's just kind of put into you, and like until you break that trust or like don't do something, like they expect you to do it, and if you do it, you know, good job, you they trusted in you, and that's definitely reflected, especially with flexible work schedules and just making anything easy along those scheduling kind of lines. It was very nice transition.
Ethan, you said you're engineering.
Yeah.
Were you? Did you study transportation specific stuff in school? Are you studying that in school, or is it more general? I'm always curious how.
So I'm a fourth year civil at the University of Cincinnati, and it's a 5 year program here. Um, so I will be in my fifth year going like transportation like focused, but right now it's still pretty broad. I have taken some transportation classes, but still I'm doing like kind of the whole civil civil package right now.
Haley?
When I came in, I guess it was based off of, like childhood watching people being really mean to interns. But I thought that everybody would be like really mean and super stern, and if I screwed up, it would be like over. It obviously wasn't like that. People are super nice, very forgiving, and I expected the work from home to be as like available to interns. I thought there'd be at least a little bit more expectation to like you have to come in at this certain time or you have to like do this or otherwise you won't be kept on or whatever. But it overall it was just I don't know, my expectation did not match at all with what the outcome was, and definitely a good thing.
That's pretty funny that pop culture has led you to believe that interns are like just fetch coffee and get like newspapers all day or something.
Yep.
Is that what everybody else thought? Really?
I didn't think so quite like that, but definitely like that down that train of thought. Like
Well, I'd like to think, this is now like you're saying, Ethan, it's like a professional engagement and a paid engagement. It's like if you get it done, you're on your
yeah,
own to get it done. If you don't get it done, then things start changing. But
yeah.
that's kind of a positive thing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Haley on the just like the perception of interns because I remember the first day I came in the office, I asked my boss if I could go pick us up lunch, and she was like, "Are you crazy? Like, I'm not gonna make you go get me stuff." And I was shocked because I was like, "Oh, I thought I was just gonna be like kind of serving you, but okay." I had marketing experience before, but it was never in a corporate setting. It was like I worked in like a collegiate athletics, so it was a lot different. Um, So I didn't really know what to expect coming into a corporate setting, but I it has exceeded my expectations in terms of what I've learned and the connections I've made. Everyone I've met has been so nice, and I feel it can be a connection in the future. And my boss has done a really good job, like including me on everything she can, even just sitting in on her meetings, just to gain experience of kind of how it is to interact with clients and how it is to operate in a corporate setting. So, yeah, I expected good things because I interviewed with my boss and I loved her, but it's even exceeded my expectations.
I want to add one more thing, like going off kind of what she said about just exceeding expectations. When I first met with my boss, I told him how like I wanted to kind of travel around the country and like try different things, not only just professionally but just personally, like living somewhere else. Like, could I just move somewhere and exist? And then just by talking with him, I was able to last semester move out to Denver to co-op in Denver last semester. So that was pretty sweet, being able to just yeah, sure, go work in Denver with our people there, and it was all awesome. So they checked off that goal too.
That's cool. I mean, I never did an internship, so a million years ago I never did an internship, so I don't have any preconceived notion. But it seems like the kind of experience you guys get and the availability that you have to try different things is pretty impressive. I mean, that's
Yeah,
definitely sounds. I assume that's maybe not just unique to Woolpert, but maybe just trying to whatever raise up the whatever young professionals correctly. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I mean, Ben, do you want to hit on some more culture stuff or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we're talking a little bit about culture already. What do you expect from your employer? I guess first of all, in terms of support, benefits, cultural things.
Early on, I was given some advice from one of the um, leadership here, and basically they told me if you're working for somebody and you couldn't see yourself being that boss, then you're not the right place. And something I can happily say is that I could see myself being that type of boss. Like the people here and the leadership here is not only exceptional, and they really, really care about the culture, and they kind of do their best to make sure it grows in terms of interacting with anybody from interns all the way up to project managers. It's been great. They do activities or anything that they can do just to bond and create that connection between the employers.
Other yeah, what other things you kind of look for in a good employer and that sort of thing.
My boss said kind of a similar thing to Christopher, that like her best employees and people that she oversees are people that like want to take her job, not take her job, but want to be in that position one day. Um, so I think that's a really good thing to have in an employer, someone who inspires you to do better. Like my boss, Holly, says all the people under her, she wants them to come for her job and take responsibility as much as they can. And she wants to see them succeed just as much as she wants to succeed herself. So I do really appreciate that because I feel like my boss and every superior manager at Woolpert so far has just really wanted to see the best for me, I think.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
totally. Oh,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say I agree. My boss kind of exhibits the same behaviors.
I definitely agree. And particularly in looking for a boss or the ideal boss is someone who would wants to push you up while also supporting your ideas. I feel like a lot of people with interns kind of struggle with to listen to interns, and like at least in my experience, everybody listens to me or at least considers what I'm saying, even if it's wrong or whatever. They always respond, and either if I'm wrong, they correct me or they push me in the right direction, or they will give me links to educational topics and things like that. So someone who wants to improve your life or improve your career while also improving theirs, I guess, same with what Claire said.
So I mean, Haley, kind of related to what you said and listening to people and all that. I think Ben and I have been in the career, whatever, in the workforce for a long time, including pre-COVID, and kind of know what that looks like. And obviously, we all lived through COVID, and here we are post-COVID. You guys are all relatively new to the workforce, intern or full-time career, either or. But I'm curious, if you're having your way and your input as somebody starting your career out there, what would you want from your employer in terms of your work environment? Do you know what I mean? Because we're in this kind of unusual hybrid world, and I think Ben and I knew what it was like before all that. I'm going to guess that you four probably didn't, or if you did, you just maybe touched the iceberg of it. So if moving forward as you're going up, the ranks, becoming professionals, like what would you like to see happen regarding this whole sort of, how do we get back to I don't even know what a normal would be, but do you know what I'm saying? What would a normal be and how do we get back to it? I guess from the eyes of somebody that's never seen what a pre-COVID workplace culture was like, if I'm making sense.
I think right now the 2-day mandatory in office um, thing we got going on, I like that. It fits well with my schedule. The only thing of culture I know pre-COVID is from Office Space, so I'm not too sure how well that depicts it. But
I mean, in parts.
but the flexibility and freedom is definitely nice, and I do enjoy
So
working at home.
2-day hybrid is what you would prefer as a professional.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. What about everybody else?
Yeah, same. I really like having the flexibility, and I would appreciate being able to go into the office more and be able to talk to people more. I think in the future there will be a huge influx of students and people going into the workforce that have never experienced an office. And in my experience, the first time I went to the office, I had no idea what to do. I didn't know how to book a Robin. I didn't know how to even get into the building. I had to call someone. I didn't know anything. And so maybe in the next 5 years, there should be some sort of almost a tutorial of how to go into a physical office. People who have never done it. I think that'd be super helpful.
That's
That is
wild
really
because I
great.
mean it's just ingrained in us. I mean Ben and I didn't know any
Exactly.
different because that's where you went for work. You know what I mean? That was no, no, there were no other options. You couldn't really
Cross
work.
that bridge first day.
But you're basically saying, man, I had no rule book when I show up. I don't know what I'm expected to do. That's
Nope.
wild.
My first co-op was like 40 hours in person in the office, so I like had a taste of it, but it was still after COVID, so
Okay.
it was still a little more laxed.
How about Claire, Chris?
Yeah, I definitely like the hybrid schedule because I do like going in once a week. I'd go in like twice a week too, but I just go in whenever my boss does. But it is nice to see everyone in person because it's just like a different kind of connection than you can get online. I feel like the first time I met my boss in person, we just like got along and got to talking a lot easier than it is online. Um, but the flexibility is nice, and I do like working from home sometimes because I feel more motivated to do work when I'm kind of choosing the setting in which I do it. I'm not, no one's like screaming down my neck, like, get this done, come in this hour, whatever. So I really like that our bosses trust us enough to get the work done because if I get the assignment, like I will get it done. And I feel like I don't need someone to really micromanage. But that my boss does a really good job about just like kind of trusting you and doing that. So it is nice to be able to choose when to go in, I think.
But it sounds like Chris, you're the outlier then, because I believe you said you go in every day of the week, right?
Correct. Yeah. In our office, actually, it's only required to come in once a month um, for an all hands. So you can be pretty flexible in terms of people that have kids can basically work from home all days a week. But personally, I like the ability to walk over somebody's desk and have these interactions. So that's something I do think that hopefully we might go into a little bit more and having at least like you guys have 2 days a week where people come in because I feel like you miss out on those interactions, which can be help with development and just also give you some comprehension from overhearing a conversation with a client and be like, oh, that's how you should be talking to clients. So I think there's missed opportunities that we are losing because of this hybrid, but we also are gaining the ability to be more flexible and enjoy our personal lives as well as be able to complete our work.
I have not been there in person, but from what I understand, the Chicago office is a big leader in terms of office culture. Like we're always taking cues from your guys' different kind of workshops and events and things like that. It seems like there's a pretty healthy in-office presence there.
Yeah, there's a large group that tends to come in on an often basis. Again, it's not required, but they just there's a preference because you have these day to day interactions as well as you just like to have an area to work and have that separation from when you go back home. But yeah, it's a great culture in terms of being in the office. It's not forced, but it's a good way to learn.
Cool, interesting. So it sounds like hybrid in most people's cases. With Chris, maybe you saying a little more frequently than not, but and it seems like that's what most businesses have been doing. We do hear about people mandating it. Maybe not even 2 days, but 3 or 4 days a week. Sounds like that's not desirable, but it's interesting what Chris you're saying. I mean, Ben, I think you know it too. Like you got lots of opportunities just by brushing elbows with people or overhearing something, and you might say, "Oh, in a previous employer, I did this or that, something related to it," and you get those kind of opportunities. It's hard to do, but it's interesting to hear perspective of people that don't have that pre-COVID expectations of what we would return to, which is everybody wearing ties, showing up at 8 in the morning. You know what I mean? Every day. I don't think that's coming back at all. Maybe that's a good thing. So
Uh, with you guys' experience at Woolpert, is there certain events that the office takes part in, or any like outside of office events that you feel has really helped you connect with your coworkers and maybe anybody else in the office?
And for like the transportation group, we did a fantasy football league last year. That was pretty fun to participate in. And but probably the biggest thing that I had like networking, I guess you could say, was last year I went to the intern wiffle ball game in Dayton. That was pretty fun and met a lot of the higher up people and just everyone in the office. And it was a really fun time to not have to focus on work and just go outside and have a cookout and play some wiffle ball.
Yeah, my answer was also going to be the wiffle ball tournament like game. It was really
Yeah,
fun.
that was really fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
I was bummed I couldn't go this year.
Yeah, I couldn't go to the football game this year either, but I've been to one of the Columbus happy hours, and that's been very fun because that's kind of the same thing. You're out of a work setting, and everyone's just like there was pizza and good drinks, and so that was a good time.
What would you say is like one of the most valuable things you've done?
It was actually because of the wiffle ball game. I was talking to one of the discipline leads for transportation, and we had a interview like proposal for the University of Cincinnati, where I go to school, and it was for just a safety study project. And then just because of like how I was talking to people and stuff at the wiffle ball game, they brought me like on the interview team. So I was like part of the interview. And then we actually won the job. And I'm pretty sure we just submitted it like last week because this was last year, the interview. So got to see like the whole process start to finish.
Mine isn't necessarily in like a professional setting, but when I was still in school, we in my college we had to do a senior independent study thesis, and I while I was working on it, I was really confused, really frustrated, and then I messaged John and asking him questions about machine learning and things like that, and he was able to give me advice that helped me finish my thesis. So it was really cool to have that work and school connection, specifically for my senior year.
Personally, I think what's helped me out a lot is asking for a couple mentorship relationships within different leadership uh, areas, right? One they're more in like the business side, which one which are more in like the design side, and getting those different perspectives has really helped me kind of understand what paths I might want to take, depending on like what areas I'm beginning to feel more interested in. And so it's allowed me to really just lock into where do I really want to end up in 5 years, 10 years. And so those relationships are something I value a lot and will continue to um, have as I continue to work here.
Where do you hope to be? What do you hope to be doing in about 5 years?
Personally, I do want to end up with a little bit more managerial experience in terms of leading people. And so, what I want to work on from now till then is first off, gain experience. So I have the background, the information that can help out my team when needed. And second off is just gain those skills and those characteristics which define good leadership. And so that's what I'm kind of working towards till then.
I think I'm trying to find kind of like my home base, what office I'd want to work out of, and the type of work. Because this next semester I'm full time. I've talked to my boss to see like if I want to stay in traffic or try some other disciplines like bridge or roadway or something like that. So I think I just need to figure that out, and the only way to do that is actually do the work. So that'll be what I'll be trying to do. So do work and figure out where to do it.
In 5 years, I think I would like to be in a team lead or a managerial position. And at my own home base, I'm moving in a couple months, actually to Chicago. And so I'm hoping to get that pretty good, steady, kind of like baseline, and then kind of just build my experience, build my career, and kind of just figure out what I want to do with my life. It's going to be a very transitional period.
Yeah, kind of same. I don't know where I want to end up, so I definitely want to figure out where I would like to be and just advance up the marketing manager path, like from manager, director, and then higher. So I like the path that I'm on now. Just keep working to get up the ladder in this field.
Awesome. And last one I have, Dan, you have any other questions? I have one more.
No, I mean we could do something lightweight at the very end. But Ben, if you have one, you can go for it.
I mean, yeah, the only other one I've got that I always ask folks is why are you doing this? Did you choose this particular career? Is it a personal reason? Do you have family history?
I first got into it because my dad is in business and he was just like, you need to major in business. But I actually switched my major from marketing to public relations, which is more of a writing side of things. And I thought I really wanted to do PR. But then when I was interviewing for this role, she was describing the PR department versus the marketing department. And marketing actually sounded a lot more appealing to me. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to try it because I do so much PR stuff in my classes anyway. So yeah, this is kind of my first experience in marketing. I didn't really know that I wanted to do it, but I've really been enjoying it. And I realized that I like it a lot more than like the more PR writing side of things.
I actually really like numbers. I like data. So I kind of chose it based on how much I like it, and it makes a pretty decent sum, hopefully. So
I chose civil engineering for my brother and uncle are both civil engineers. And in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went to work with my brother one day, and I was like, oh, it's actually pretty cool. And then toured a few campuses, their engineering programs, and I was like, okay, yeah, I could totally see myself doing this, and stuck with it. So here we are.
Come from a family of kind of everyone deals with construction, from painters, carpenters, masons, uh, landscaping, so a wide variety. And it's always been interesting to kind of be part of the design process and what is the plan that makes it possible. And so that's what led me to architecture. But specifically, the area we're in right now is just, it's a cool problem to have, right? There you have both the technical versus the design. So it's a good mixture of both. And that's always what's kind of caught my attention, is that having both of those, right? Be creative, but also there's technicality to that creativity.
Sounds good. Okay. Dan, you want to do the fun? You got some.
No, the one we usually ask people that's kind of humorous and it's quick response. Claire, if you had to pick one meal to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh.
No smorgasbord nonsense. It's got to be something.
Probably penne alla vodka or like pasta with vodka sauce.
All right, Haley, how about you?
weirdly enough, potato soup is my favorite soup.
That's weird.
I know, right?
I might get judged for this one, but trust me, it's so good. Oatmeal, not cooked oatmeal. You guys are probably forgetting for a pinch of salt. You gotta get the salt in there.
I don't know. If I had to eat oatmeal or potato soup for the rest of my life, I don't know what I'd do. No offense.
telling you, just put some salt in there, water, milk, protein
I'm gonna
powder,
try that. I'm gonna try that.
honey.
I like
So the other
oatmeal.
one we'd ask people sometimes just to see what their immediate reaction is you have to write a book about something. Doesn't have to be work related, anything. What are you going to write a book about?
I'd probably choose. So like something I started doing this year was going on solo car camping trips. It's like super cheap, super fun. Get to know yourself a little more. I could totally write a book on that.
I think I would write a horror story. I really like ghost stories.
Potato soup.
Yeah.
Yeah, eat some potato soup and write a book.
Yeah.
That would be a
Perfect.
horror story. I'm sorry, Haley. I feel like I know you, so
No, I
give you a
deserve
little bit of
it.
a hard time
I
on
deserve
the
it for that.
podcast. Sorry. Claire, what about you?
I would probably, this is like so stupid, but it's the thing I know the most about. I'd probably write a book about the show Seinfeld. Because I've watched it like a million times over, and I don't know. I just love the characters, and I could talk about it for hours. So
People would eat that up. People would love
Yeah, you
that.
should do it.
Yeah.
You should totally do that. I mean, Ben, anything else you want to add? Or
Thank you guys for your time this afternoon, and it's always interesting seeing what people's early impressions of Woolpert are and how your experiences have gone. So appreciate you.
awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
That's so good. Nice. Well, as always, guys, like and subscribe. Leave a comment.